Hello, everyone. This is Adam Keys. I'm a product manager at TestOut, and we are extremely excited today, Craig, Rustin, and I, to present our new TestOut Ethical Hacker Pro course. Our pre-release access started yesterday, so we wanted to give everybody a chance to take a look at what we've been working on and see what you think. A couple things before we get started. If you do have questions throughout the webinar, I'll be helping answer those questions during Craig's demo that we'll have. There's a tab on the GoToWebinar taskbar that says questions, so you can enter your questions there. If it applies to you individually, I'll answer just to you. If it applies to the entire group, I might save it for the end for our question and answer. We also will have a survey at the end of this, so when we close the webinar, it'll automatically pop up a survey. It'll also send you an email with the survey link if you need to take off early. We have just 4 questions that we're curious to get some information from you on. The recording will be saved and sent out to attendees, so you can share it with other faculty, administrators, anybody that you think would benefit by seeing what we're going to offer today. So with that being said, I'm going to kick it off by talking about our company. If you haven't had experience with TestOut before, we are an IT courseware and certification company that focuses on hands-on learning, hands-on certification. Founded in 1991, and our goal is to make a difference in a person's life through education using breakthrough technology. We serve the K-12, higher education, professional users, pretty much anybody who needs to learn these skills, we serve them. We currently have 11 products that are active and 2 new ones coming. One of them is the TestOut Ethical Hacker Pro course we're going to look at today. And the second is a course called IT Fundamentals Pro. And we'll have another webinar on that in a week or so that covers that, because that'll be coming out at the end of this month as well. You might ask why we chose to go after Ethical Hacker Pro as our next course, because there are many courses that we could focus on. Those of you who are here and have heard anything on Ethical Hacker, there's a skill shortage of security professionals, about 500,000 in the US and almost 3 million worldwide. The average entry salary for an Ethical Hacker certified individual is quite a bit higher than most industries. More than half of our surveyed customers offer an ethical hacking course and are interested in what TestOut could offer. And it's a great fit into our learning pathway, just the progression of the different IT courses we offer, moving through PC Pro to networking to Security Pro to Linux. It was a logical step for continuing the TestOut pathway and giving students a uniform learning experience from start to finish in the cybersecurity space. With a little bit of the details of our course, Craig will touch on this a lot more. But we will have 66 simulated labs that have over 60 industry tools in the labs and in demonstration videos. We have over 160 learning and demo videos in this course. Every course, as you know, if you're a TestOut customer currently, we offer an included certification voucher. It's not simply enough to learn the skills, we need to validate the skills. And this gives anyone who uses the course the ability to add a credential to their resume and help themselves stand out in the security market. This is also a course that prepares for the EC Council Certified Ethical Hacker version 10, so there is practice for that course built into the TestOut Ethical Hacker Pro course. Our content areas, this isn't something I'm going to touch on all of them, but it does align to the content areas covered by EC Council Certified Ethical Hacker. We have 14 main areas listed here that we will cover throughout the course. The value that we hope to add by releasing this course is foremost, we offer certification, and it's not just a multiple choice exam where students can memorize the terminology and pass it. It's all performance-based. Everything on the exam is hands-on and requires mastery of the skills that are presented throughout the course. All of our labs are self-grading, and they integrate with the most common LMS systems so that grades can sync to the systems you're currently using. It's great for distance learning scenarios because it is a self-contained course that can be used as the student, but it is also, we say, best learned with instructor guidance. We offer real-world scenarios that professionals would see in their day-to-day jobs. There's instant remediation for the students on labs that they would complete. They can know what they did right, what they did wrong, and have steps to learn the things that they may have missed. It's a turnkey solution. We like to say it's all contained, that there are videos, there are texts, there are labs, there's practice, there's certification, and it all comes together in one package. And we have dedicated integration with LMS so that you can integrate it into what you already have going at the school. With that being said, I didn't want to touch too much on this. I want to get into showing you what the course looks like. And for that, I'm going to pass it over to Craig so that he can walk us through some of the features and benefits we have from our Ethical Hacker Pro course. And let's make sure that we have Craig's screen showing up. All right, it looks good. Go ahead, Craig.
Great. Thank you, Adam. And thank you for joining us in our demonstration today. I'm going to take you through Ethical Hacker Pro Courseware. Right now, what you're seeing, I'm logged into LabSim, which is our user interface. And in this interface, you can see this is where I would have access to different TestOut courseware titles. And the top one listed here, Ethical Hacker Pro. Notice that it's in development. The release date for this product is August 13th. However, we are now currently providing pre-release access for instructors. Stick around for the end of our session today, and you'll have the opportunity to request pre-release access as an instructor, and we'll get that to you. So now that I'm logged in, I can go ahead and click on Ethical Hacker Pro, and it launches me right into the courseware. And at this point, I'm going to view the course content exactly how students will see it. I'd been working on this previously, so this took me right to where I left off. Toward the upper right, next to the home icon, there is an outline icon. Let's go ahead and click on that so we can get a bird's eye view of the flow of the content here. On the left-hand side, I can see all the different chapters. So we're organized with chapters on the left. If I click on any one of these chapters, to the right appear a number of different sections with different types of learning activities. Click around, navigate to a few of these. Let's go to Chapter 10 on Sniffer's session hijacking. And in this particular section, we're going to focus on, let's go to section 10.3, Denial of Service. This is where we're going to focus. And you'll notice that there's a number of different icons here that represent different types of learning activities. I'm going to briefly explain what these icons represent. We'll go through the different activities, focusing more on the lab side of things. I recognize some of you are familiar with this navigation, but there are others on this session that this is their first time viewing that. So let's go ahead and click on, well, the first activity here in the list is a video tutorial, followed up by a text lesson. The next new icon in the list will be a demonstration, which is actually represented here by 10.3.5. And then you see a few computer mouse icons. Those represent hands-on labs. Finally, at the end of the section, we have practice questions before the student would then move on to the next chapter and sections and proceed through the course content. So let's go ahead and click on the first learning resource here, which is a video tutorial. So when you arrive at a video, you have the option to launch the video in one of two different ways. Play video, which is more of a standard mode, and then we have our interactive script. I'm going to start with standard mode, and partway through we'll swap over to interactive script. The way we're set up in GoToMeetings, intentionally, you're not going to hear the audio for this demonstration today. Obviously, when you get access, you'll hear the audio. We have a number of different faces that your students will experience as they view the different videos. We don't have a lot of talking head time, however. We are very much aware that students need to be visually engaged as they view a video. So you'll notice as we go through this video that there's a lot of moving parts that keep the students engaged. As we go through, though, I'm going to go ahead and click on CC at the bottom. This is closed captioning. It'll pause the video, and then I have the ability to start manipulating the closed captioning based on my personal preferences. I can change the color of the font, the background. I'm going to go ahead and reset this back to where my personal preferences are and shrink this back down a little bit, or I can simply turn it off. When I click back on the monitor or the video itself, the video resumes. Students also can slow this or speed up the speed of audio based on their personal preference. If I'm a student that the English is my second language, perhaps I want to slow this down a little bit. But they get to change those settings based on what their preference is. I love this feature in the bottom right we call interactive script. So let's go ahead and click on that. What that does is move the video to the left, and then to the right I can see verbatim text of what's being said in the video. You notice that there's this gray bar moving across in the video in this paragraph right here. That's what is currently being said in the video. I'm going to go ahead and scroll farther down and click on another random location. Wherever I click and whenever I click, it takes me to that location in the video where I clicked in the text. Also, as a learner, I have the ability to copy the text, and I can print it out if I would like as well. So again, lots of ways to use this information based on the student's preference. Finally, though, I want to show that students can choose to go full screen. I'm going to go ahead and hit escape on my computer to shrink that back down. Now, to go to the next activity in our list of resources, I could go up to the main outline, but however, I also have the option on the far left and on the far right to click on these big arrows to go up or down through the outline. So let's go ahead and click on the far right arrow. Now I'm taken to a text lesson. The information that you would have in a traditional textbook has been integrated into our course content. This is one of the locations where I'll be able to read some of that text. Other portions of that traditional textbook material is integrated into our videos. I'm scrolling down with my mouse. Sometimes we have images in here as well, depending on what you're learning about. Also, again, the students have the ability to copy the text and paste it and take their notes that way if they choose, or print this out. Let's go ahead and click on the far right arrow again to move through the different resources. This is in another video demonstration, and I'm going to go ahead and skip that for time's sake. Another text lesson. This is another video. This one's a little bit different. Previous videos were more tutorials. This one's going to demo performing a SYN flood attack. So I'm going to go ahead and start this one with interactive script. And I can jump around. In this video, in fact, this might be better to show you in full screen. So let's go to that mode here. And I'm going to go forward a little bit in the video. So here we're seeing an example of using ZenMap. These are some tools that we're actually going to use in the lab that I'm about to show you. So navigating around, your students are going to learn how to do these tools. When we put students into labs later on, they'll have learned everything that they need to know in order to be successful in completing those labs. I'm going to hit escape to shrink this back down. And let's click on the far right arrow to move on. Now we're ready to perform a lab. And so the student can read the lab scenario here and then go ahead and click Start Lab. While the lab is loading up, the scenario will reappear on the left-hand side so it can read through that as the lab is loading. By the way, a couple things to note here. This is a simulated lab. It's a very open and robust simulated lab. Students can be on a PC or a Mac and have the same experience in this lab environment. It doesn't matter what version of Windows that they have installed as well. They're able to run this. I want to point out also, as I consult with different institutions, especially for ethical hacking, I hear that a lot of the institutions will use virtual machines for their ethical hacking labs, which has been problematic for a number of reasons. One, just the plain setup time that's involved with setting up virtual machines can be overwhelming. Some institutions have told me we don't teach ethical hacking because of all the time and resources, energy that's involved with setting those up. And then when you do have them set up, students often spend a lot more time downloading software than they would working and performing certain hacks that you want them to learn about. Time is of an essence. You only have a limited amount of that with your students. So let's take care of that through TestOut simulations and allow your students to focus on doing the tasks at hand, not downloading. Also, instructors tell me that grading has been a real problem for virtual machines because students have to take screenshots, and you cross your fingers that students are sharing their work and not work that they've taken from somebody else. They don't get immediate feedback either because they have to send those screenshots to you, and some instructors, it might take a while before you can get that feedback to students, and it kind of takes away their learning experience if they can't get immediate feedback when they're done with the lab. TestOut labs will provide immediate feedback. So when I declare I'm done with this lab scenario, in the upper right, I click on Answer Questions, and it will give me feedback after I answer those questions. Let's go ahead and work on this particular scenario. So essentially, this is I as the student am playing the role now as an IT security administrator for a small corporate network, and I need to simulate a SYN flood attack using Metasploit to complete a penetration test that I'm working on. So So let's go through the steps here. By the way, as I go through this lab in the background, it's keeping track of what I'm doing. And eventually when I declare that I'm done, I click on answer questions, and then I'm getting feedback on how well I performed, as well as I'm asked to answer a few questions. So this is a performance-based assessment, as well as I will need to answer multiple choice. We use a lot of different types of assessing tools here in our labs. So the first task that I need to complete here is I need to use ZenMap to find the FTP port on Courseware. So let's go ahead and launch ZenMap. And so I want to search the ports. So let's scan ports 0 through 100. And on the left-hand side in the scenario, I'm given the IP address for our Corp server, which is 192.168.0.10. Let's go ahead and hit enter. And I can see that port 21 is the FTP port. This is important for the penetration test, or sorry, the ethical hacking scenario here at hand when I'm going to perform a flood of SYN packets to the server. Let's go ahead now, and I'm going to keep this open on the right. We can refer to that later. The next thing we need to do is using Metasploit, we need to send a SYN flood attack. So there's some settings that we need to set up in Metasploit as well. So let's go ahead and launch Metasploit. And I'm going to search for SYN packets. Okay, and so I can see one module here right now. Let's go ahead and use that. That's the only one available for this type of flood that we want to perform. I'm going to right-click, autofills for me, hit enter, and then I'm going to show options. Now, there's a few things we want to notice here for our scenario. The R host here is not populated. In our scenario, we need to actually populate that with this IP address, which is our Corp server IP address. Our port is set at 81 right now. We need to change that. In ZenMap, we had identified that the FTP port is 21, so we need to change this to 21. And then for S-host, this is our spoofed source address. We've been told to have that source host be, in our scenario, this particular IP address. So we need to update these before we can then exploit the Corp server. So we're going to reset these. So we're going to set our host to 192.168.0.10. We're going to set S host to 192.168.0.33, which is our spoofed IP address. And then we're going to set our port. Now, I'm going to make a mistake on purpose. We're supposed to set the R port to be 21. Let's do 22 instead. And then I'm going to show options. And the changes that I've made have been applied. Let's say now I catch that, oh, R port should be 21. I need to correct that. Our labs are so open and functioning that I can go and make mistakes. I can correct them as much as I want. And then eventually, when I declare I'm done and grade it, I'm graded correctly if I was able to catch them and change those mistakes that I had made. So not all simulations do that, but in TestOut, we're big on making this real-to-life experience for the student. Let's actually set our port to 21. Okay, our port is now 21. I've got the settings here. I'm ready to exploit, but before I turn on my exploit, I want to now go to Wireshark, and I'd like to view the traffic that's happening as before and after my exploit. So in my scenario, it tells me I need to use Wireshark to capture the SYN flood on the EP2S0 network interface. So let's go ahead and select that interface, and I'm going to go ahead and start capturing packets right now. This is the normal traffic going through. The exploit has not been launched just yet. And you can kind of see the speed of which packets are flying through here. I can see, just looking at this, a bunch of ACK packets, a few other types of packets coming through. Let's go back over to launch our exploit now. Hit enter. And now you can see it's really turned on the throttle with those numbers flying through there. We're flooding Corp server now with SYN packets. But this is a mixture of the SIM packets from the flood and other packets as well that were already part of the normal activity going on. I'm going to go ahead and actually apply a filter, which our scenario asks us to do. So to apply the filter, I want to type in host and then 192.168.0.10 and tcp.flags.sin equals 1. Okay, so now I'm only capturing SIN packets. So I've applied that. I'm going to go ahead and restart the current capture. So it's just the SIN packets. And at this point, I've gathered the information that I need. And as the student, I believe I'm done performing this particular lab that I'm asked to do. So what I want to do is go ahead and, let's go ahead and stop this capture into the SIN packets. You'll notice a few things. As I go over, I can see, wow, look at all these packets that were coming for every second. It was just overwhelming the system there. But I can answer my questions now. So let's go to the upper right and click on Answer Questions. The first question is, what is the source IP address for the SIN flood attack? I can see that right here, the source IP address. So let's go ahead and type that in. And this is the spoofed IP address that we used. The next one is, which of the following MAC addresses is initiating the SIN flood attack? And I can go and break these down to find more details. So here I can see the source, and this is the MAC ID address. So I can, the one that 41E0 ends in. So let's go ahead and find that. That's the IT laptop. This would be the correct answer. I'm going to go ahead and select the incorrect answer. Now, when I click on Score Lab, well, let's go ahead and do this and see what feedback we get. This is real time. I didn't have to send screenshots to my instructor. I'm going to get immediate feedback. So as I score the lab, I got everything correct except the second question. I got that wrong. I used ZenMap to scan ports. I shared the SIN flood using I started the SIN flood using Metasploit, and I filtered for SIN attack using Wireshark. I got the first question right. I got the second one wrong. Let's say as a student I got something wrong and I thought I did it right. Well, I can scroll down now and I can see step by step how to complete the lab correctly. This may be the first time your students ever perform such a hack, and they're getting feedback now. We want them to actually be able to go in. They can launch this lab and do it over and over again as part of their formative learning. You'll notice I got 4 out of 5 correct, 80% grade. This information is now visible to you as an instructor real time as well. So students get immediate feedback, so do you. If you are integrated with Canvas, Blackboard, Brightspace, or other learning management systems, we can integrate with those and have grade transfer as well. Let's go ahead and close this particular lab. Now I have the ability to restart it and launch it over and do this over and over again. When I'm done, I can click on the right arrow and go forth. And there's another lab. We're going to skip this for time's sake. Let's go to the end of this particular section. Let's see, 311. Okay, at the end of each section, we have a set of practice questions, which will typically be multiple choice. I'll go ahead and just show you a real quick sampling of one of them. I can check and answer as I go. I got it wrong. It tells me what the correct answer was. And what's nice is it not only tells me the explanation of why the correct answer is correct, it tells me why the incorrect answers are not correct as well. Again, part of the formative learning. We have other tools for heavier assessments that we'll go over a little later. And they'll continue to answer. I guess that wrong as well. Let's go ahead and, for time's sake, let's exit this exam. Let's score it. So when I score this, my instructor can now see the results real time. I got 0%. They can choose to go back and review their questions and answers as well. Now I would like to go to the main outline here. So we just went through this whole section on denial of services. We saw a video tutorial, we saw a text lesson, we saw a video demonstration, we skipped over multiple of those type of activities, but at least sampled each one for you. We ran through this lab on perform and analyze a SIN flood attack. There were additional labs that we skipped past for time's sake today. And then we saw the practice questions at the end. This is the flow that you'll experience for any given chapter. Some might have different types of resources more than others, depending on the nature of what's being addressed. You'll notice after the students go through all the chapters here, Adam had mentioned before that we do cover the EC Council's Certified Ethical Hacker certification. We thoroughly cover the objectives, and if your students go through all of our content, then they will be prepared to go out and take that certification exam. In fact, we provide exam prep for that. So if I click here on EC Council Certified Ethical Hacker exam prep, I can go through questions by domain. At the bottom, we actually have a mock exam that looks and feels like they're taking the live exam. If they're consistently scoring 90% or better in this, they should feel confident in doing well in the live exam. However, a challenge with EC Council and their Certified Ethical Hacker exam, students need to provide 2 years documented industry work experience, which can be difficult for most students. And so they probably won't be able to take the exam right away unless they can document that work experience. However, TestOut, with all of our products, we have our own industry certifications. So accompanying the access that the students have for TestOut Ethical Hacker Pro, they also have a voucher to take the TestOut Ethical Hacker Pro certification exam. Similar to EC Council and the objectives being covered, however, very different in that in TestOut Ethical Hacker Pro certification, it's performance-based. All of the questions are labs. You as an instructor have the option to use this as part of a final exam for your course as well with your students. So imagine your students taking the final and the industry certification exam at the same time at no additional cost. You can actually proctor the exam yourself. You control when they take it. So this is a huge benefit for you. Many instructors have told me, because of what's involved with setting up virtual machines, or I don't have a lot of experience with ethical hacking, we don't teach that course. This course content really opens up the door for you to be able to set up this course and have a very successful ethical hacking course experience for your students in preparing them for industry success in their careers. I'd also like to mention that we do include additional instructor resources. We provide instructor PowerPoints, lesson plans. We provide a breakdown that says, okay, here's how long it would take a typical student to go through each section. These will be provided and made available at launch date on August 13th. We also have an implementation team who can help with integrating this with your learning management system, with designing your course, with instructor training, and we have excellent technical support. So these are the things that I wanted to cover with you today, and I'm now going to turn the time back over to Adam.
All right. I just want to, before I take it back from you, Craig, I want them to see one more thing for those that aren't familiar with TestOut. Can you pop back into that lab? I want to show you the networked environment that we provide in our labs. It's not just a single computer that you're working with. We try to create a scenario that represents a networked office, say, with multiple offices, multiple machines, server rooms, server equipment, and so it's one of the things that sets apart simulations. You're not just going to see one screen throughout a simulation, but there are scenarios and labs in our course that require you to virtually stand up from one computer and walk into another room to perform a task. So now that that's loaded up, should still be seeing that.
Yeah, do you mind if I jump in at this point? So
yeah.
I'm thinking of one of the other labs we have where you're hijacking a web session. And sure, you start out as the IT admin in the IT admin office, but you'll need to navigate to different offices. So in this particular scenario, this is the same lab I launched before, but I am an IT administrator, so I could actually click here to view the hardware in my office. There's sometimes where you actually need to go to someone else's office even and view the hardware, for example, our keylogger simulation. So I could actually go to the back of a PC and insert the keylogger. Let's take this to another layer. Let's go to the floor one overview. So this gives me an overview of the physical floor that I'm on. Yellow indicates where I'm physically at. But I can navigate to any of these other offices and view the respective hardware or software at the different locations. So let's say I need to go to Office 2 and I want to view the hardware, and maybe my scenarios are with the keylogger. I can click on Hardware View for Office 2 and it takes me to that location. I can then click on the monitor and view the software of that particular PC in Office 2. Perhaps I want to go in and hijack a web session through this workstation. And then to navigate back, I click on Floor 1 Overview, and it gives me then an overview of the layout here. So yellow indicates now I'm in Office 2. Let's go back to the IT admin laptop for that view And so I can toggle back around and go to different locations, which really helps students conceptually understand what's going on better. Sometimes we have them playing different roles in different scenarios.
Perfect. Thanks for showing that. I'm going to pull it back over. I got too excited at the beginning. I forgot to ask a couple questions for you. And so I'm going to bring up a couple poll questions that I wanted to ask towards the beginning to get an idea of where you were coming from. But we're going to start out with what type of institution you're currently working with. Is it a 2-year college, 4-year college, career college, adult vocation? Should be popping up on your screen right now so that you can answer that. I'll give you just 20 more seconds till I see everybody's got it. All right, I'm going to close that off. And just sharing that out, it looks like we've got almost half of you coming from 2-year colleges, and that's about what we expected. All right, and then the other question I had for you is, what is your current ethical hacking course offering? Do you currently have an ethical hacker course? Do you have one that's in development but not yet ready? Would you like to add one, but there's no plan for it yet? Or is it just not an offering at this time and there are no plans to have that right now? Couple more seconds. All right, so sharing that, more than half of you either have one in development or currently offer it, and that's great. That's exactly what we had expected with our research. So we're thrilled that there are so many of you out there doing this. I want to take some time now to go over some Q&A. We've had some questions submitted as we've been in this meeting, and I encourage you to, if you have a question right now, just go ahead and enter it into the questions panel on the GoToWebinar taskbar. But a couple that have come through that I've saved is, we had one that was, what do you recommend? Do you need to take Linux Pro? Do you need to take Security Pro before taking this course? I would say at a minimum, you're going to want to go through, test out PC Pro, Network Pro, and Security Pro as a minimum. We don't require Client Pro or Linux Pro or Server Pro to complete this course. They are beneficial skills that will mean that a student probably has more success going through this, but at a minimum, I would say PC Pro, Network Pro, and Security Pro. Another question we had there is, how many certified ethical hacker practice questions are included in this course? And I think we're over 600. One of the sections has 240. There are a lot of questions, and we break those out into domains. We also break it into bite-sized pieces. If you want to do, say, a 20-question random quiz from that bank, that's also an available option. Do we provide vouchers for instructors to obtain the TestOut CEH certification? So it would be TestOut Ethical Hacker Pro certification. We do offer complimentary instructor access. That includes the full course, everything associated with it. We want you to be able to see how the certification is and also to earn that credential. So we do give you unrestricted access as an instructor. You can reach out to your TestOut account representative. For those who do already have some TestOut products, we have granted some pre-release access automatically, and that would be if you're using Security Pro right now, you can go into your My Products tab on the TestOut LabSim platform and see that immediately. All right, another question that we have is, how long is the entire course? How many hours are in this course? That's come through multiple times. We don't have the final count, but we're still working on finishing up some videos, as this is a pre-release course, but it is expected to be over 40 hours. It could be a little bit shorter than something as robust as a PC Pro course. If you've worked with that, you know that is a very bulky course that's sometimes split over multiple semesters. But it is intended that this will be a full semester course for higher education and can take up to a full year in K-12 setting.
Yeah, I want to jump in here as well. That's a traditional 3-credit-hour semester college course that this is designed to fit.
All right. Do practice exams offer explanations? It doesn't have the remediation per question. It's meant to be more of an exam setting where you could practice how it would look in taking either the TestOut practice exam or the ethical hacker practice exam. It's supposed to replicate more of an exam scenario. So it doesn't have the remediation there. This is a really great question. I'll let Craig take this, but this is something that comes up with virtual labs. Are there any performance issues when you have as many as 30, 40 or more students accessing LabSim at the same time?
Not at all. These are simulated labs, and we host them in such that we can have thousands and thousands of simultaneous users on here, and it's not going to affect the performance.
Is there a version that individual students or people can purchase? If you visit TestOutCE.com, that is our professional website where individuals can come and purchase courses and complete and take the certification on their own. And then if you're looking at a academic version, we work through account representatives that help set up the classroom and understand your needs and get you what you need. All right, a bunch more that have come in, just going through those. Do you have a listing of timing by module? That'll be available in the course, the final course outline and course lessons that come out when the course is released. A reminder, this course comes out August 13th is the official launch date. So right now we are still in pre-release mode.
Well, Adam's reviewing the questions. The question that I expect many of you have is, what's the price for this? And I just want to be upfront about that. It depends. We work with high schools, we work with colleges, universities, and private training organizations, corporations, and we have different models for those. So to get the detailed pricing, please talk with your account executive that works with you and your specific type of organization. We're more than happy to get that pricing for you right away. I do want to say also, though, as we develop this course, we recognize that this is a higher end course and pricing can be quite high in the industry for good material. We were conscious of that, and we've intentionally, through all those different segments, created pricing that's very competitive. I think you'll be pleased by what you hear.
All right, another one. If students gain access to the course, if they have an activation, are they able to maintain access as they work through the rest of it if they haven't finished at the end of the course?
Yes. Yes. Again, different industries have different lengths of time for their access based on different types of licensing. But certainly, our goal as a company is, number one, we want individuals to be successful in their careers. Number two, we want them to earn an industry certification. And sometimes a typical class term is not sufficient time for them to brush up and truly prepare themselves to go take that industry certification. So we want to give them more time beyond that course to do so.
So with our professional certifications, we typically do 12-month access. We also have a monthly Netflix-style subscription where you can get access to all courses. Within academics, we typically give an 18-month license that allows students to use it. If say, for one of our larger courses, such as PC Pro, if they're using it through 2 semesters, it enables a student to purchase once and not have to buy each semester with that longer-term access. It also gives them the ability to continue to master and learn after they finish their semester or even year-long courses.
And for K-12, typically they go on a year license, but they have some, you can have that discussion with your account executive.
Can students get a discount for the course?
The pricing that we have will be the best pricing model for the different levels. I personally work directly with higher ed in New York and New England, all the way down through Maryland, and we give the best pricing for the students. We can work with bookstores, or students have the option to buy at bookstore cost direct.
And just to expound on that a little bit more, in the professional market, typically you have a different pricing model, but the academic price is discounted from our professional licenses. And just, again, reach out to your rep. We'll get you the full pricing based on your needs, how many students you have, what your program looks like. And along with that pricing, it was an ask if the students are using multiple courses, is there a discount for multi-course use? And no, there's not currently a discount for students buying multiple courses over time. We price it very competitively. I can tell you that we are we are a significant cost savings to a lot of the official content out there for this course. And so just again, reach out to us, we'll let you know. Will we have access to the course to start testing and building out courses before the August start? We will have a survey afterwards. If you want pre-release, answer the survey question that says, do you want pre-release? And if you don't see that survey for any reason, just get a hold of your account rep, or you can even email akeys@testout.com, which is my email, and I'll get you to the right person to get you pre-release access.
So yes, we want you to get access right away so you can look at this and make sure it's truly the best fit for what you need to accomplish with your students.
What percentage of the Ethical Hacker curriculum is covered by the practical labs? We do offer full coverage of all the Ethical Hacker objectives. So this would be, we plan on being 100% coverage, and even beyond, to be honest. We have some content areas in there that we felt needed more elaboration for the skills required for an Ethical Hacker professional, and so we did increase that.
In teaching this in a traditional classroom or online, you're not going to need additional textbook material. We thoroughly cover what you would have had in the textbook. So this is really a single purchase that a student would need to make for your course.
I'm going to cover a few more questions because we don't want to drag on too long here. But one is there a greater Windows or Linux focus? They're both covered. Often you'll be hacking from a Linux console, a Kali Linux machine, and as we know too painfully, Windows machines are probably a little easier to crack. So typically you're cracking a Windows machine in a lot of the simulations.
I had this question initially in developing our course, and I spoke with our course designers regarding Linux. What's the expectation? Do they have to have had some Linux experience beforehand? And it's been shared with me that we thoroughly teach them the components of Linux that they need to know in order to perform the specific hacks that they're learning in the course content.
All right, I'm going to cover a couple more real quick. We do integrate with all LTI compliant LMS systems, some of those with grade sync option as well, that is a much easier setup than the typical setup. Yes, it integrates with Blackboard, with Canvas, with Moodle, with Brightspace, and with all the LTI compliant ones if I'm missing those on my list. The 2-year experience question about Ethical Hacker, there is a waiver if you buy official Ethical Hacker content. That's something that they do to kind of protect their corner on the courseware market. We do not have an official partner status with EC Council because that's not an offering that they do with other courseware providers. So the 2-year experience waiver does not exist with our courseware. That's part of why we offer an industry certification with it. We also do that with all of our courses. And so that's something that you can't get around if you're not using official courseware, regardless of who you're using. And will this work with CompTIA Pentest Plus? We have not built this specifically with Pentest Plus in mind. It does, when I did an analysis, it does cover a lot of the same topics. It doesn't necessarily cover the exact same software options they're using. We didn't build it to cover the Pentest Plus exam, so you would need to supplement. And we just encourage you, get the pre-release. If you're doing that, take a look through it, see how it fits your needs. With that, I want to go ahead and close out the session today. A reminder, we'll have a survey pop up right after. It's a really quick one. Just want to get a couple items from you. We're very grateful for everybody coming on. A very big thank you to Craig for walking us through the features of this course. We're excited for you to get your hands on it. Reach out to your account rep or myself if you need pre-release access and don't have it yet. Again, my email is akeys, the letter A, K-E-Y-S, @testout.com, and happy to help you with anything you need. Thanks again, and we look forward to working with you again. And the survey will pop up as soon as I end. Thank you all.